Group sound check 1, 2, and 2. Group chamber sound check 1, 2, and 2.
Check 1, 2. Good morning, colleagues and honorable members. It's exactly 10 o'clock. I want to welcome you in this meeting, and I would just give a hand over to Gershwin to give us apologies before I do my welcoming and introduction. Because it's for the first time that we're meeting with yourselves. I'm Honorable Jane Sibulwetsi Mananiso, the chairperson of the Select Committee, Security and Justice. I would introduce my members as I get to the item of welcome and introduction. So you are welcomed, and we want to thank you for availing yourself while we know that many people are now on the fever of Easter weekend. So we had to push to ensure that we get to this meeting. So I want to thank you, and actually acknowledging the fact that it was not easy that we become virtual on the basis that we're dealing with sensitive issues today. So hence we had to push for us to be physical. We want to thank you for being here, and honorable members that are present here. Thank you as well for taking your time and coming to Cape Town for this session. Over to you, Gesh.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson, members, delegates. The apologies, Chair. The Minister for Justice and Constitutional Development apologized. The ministry is on a presidential visit in the Eastern Cape, Chair. And then Ms. Modupi tendered an apology due to health reasons. Mr. Zulu is attending a workshop, and Mr. Billy has to attend to prior commitments, Chair. And then Mr. Mokai, he indicated he would be flying down, but he might be late, Chair.
All right, Honorable Kherik. You're fine. Gesh, just note that due to the bad weather in Kimberley, Mr. Mokai won't be making it to today's meeting. So that's one of the apologies that you would need to add. Honorable members and honorable colleagues, we are aware of the shooting of a state witness at Wynberg Magistrate Court last week, which raises concerns in respect of security and safety of citizens, as well as those in the legal profession, including magistrates, prosecutors, clerks, and attorneys. We would want to ensure that security is enhanced in the courts, and we will continue to conduct oversight over courts during our oversight visit in all provinces. Last year, we met with the Independent Commission for the Remuneration of Office Bearers on the annual increases of magistrate and judges. The committee also received various input from the judiciary as well as magistrate representative bodies regarding the salaries and single judiciaries. At that meeting, we had agreed that we would engage further on this matter when the Commission's major review was complete, as we are committed to ensuring fairness and parity within the judiciary. Today's meeting is our first meeting, the Magistrate Commission, and we are aware that we have a statutory duty as members of this parliament in terms of the Magistrate Act of 1993. We deliberate and make decisions on the suspensions and removal of magistrates after careful deliberations and upon receiving the report from the Commission. This statutory duty is a parliamentary decision and therefore requires a decision from both the NA and the NCOP. We are aware that in the 6th Parliament, the NCOP confirmed the provisional suspension of Magistrate Govender in terms of Section 13(3)(b) of the Magistrate Act. The magistrate's provisional suspension was based on dishonesty, inappropriate behavior, and bringing the reputation of the magistracy into disrepute. The Magistrate Commission's report on the Magistrate Govender was referred to our committee on the 1st April 2025. Today, we will receive the presentation from the Commission at a meeting in the new term. We will make our decision on the matter. The Magistrate Act in Section 13(4)(c) states as follows: Parliament must, as soon as reasonably possible, pass a resolution as to whether or not the restoration to his or her office of a magistrate so suspended is recommended. We note that the Act refers to Parliament making this decision, which means that both the PC Justice Committee and our committee will then make this decision. The decision will become final when passed by both houses in Parliament. We therefore look forward to receiving the report from the Commission. As I said, I would now introduce the members of Parliament on my right-hand side. I will start with Honorable Gotzel. Honorable Gotzel here represents the Western Cape, and he represents the DA. And next to Honorable Gotzel, we have Honorable Kherik. Honorable Kherik as well is based here in Western Cape and as well represent the EFF. After Honorable Kherik, we have Honorable Phala. Honorable Phala comes from Limpopo, here he represents the ANC. And next to Honorable Phala, we have Honorable Khosi Noe. Honorable Khosi Noe comes from Free State and as well is representing the ANC. Next to Honorable Noe, we have Honorable Nonkonyane Inkosi, Advocate Nonkonyane, who is representing the Eastern Cape. The reason why I'm indicating their provinces and as well indicating some other responsibility like the one of Honorable Khosi and Honorable Noe and Honorable Nonkonyane is on the basis that we know now the issues of traditional leaders are part and parcel of our work. And most of the people, they don't know the responsibility of the NCOP. So it is important that people get to understand that we are composed from different provinces. And as we speak, mostly we represent issues coming from those specifically provinces that we are actually representing in the NCOP. So hence I'm indicating where we come from and which party are we actually representing. But then at the back, you can see we have the camera lady there, Raja. She's from the Department of Communication and Marketing in Parliament. And just at the back, we have Patricia. Patricia, she's our researcher in the committee in terms of our day-to-day work. And just next to Patricia, we have Luleka. Luleka, she's my PA. And then on my right-hand side, we have Dr. Anthea. Dr. Anthea, she's our content advisor. And then on my left-hand side, I have Geshwan, of which Gesh, he serves here as the secretary of the committee. And then on my far right, we have our digital person who actually is has a responsibility to make sure that people get to know what is happening through the pictures. He serves here in Parliament. And then I would then hand over to yourselves in terms of introduction before we get to our second item. Over to you, and I hope you have seated based on your seniority, because sometimes it is good that we get to know who's representing the commission, so that we don't guess. So I would now hand over to yourself. I would, as I've noted that the delegation from the commission is led by Regional Court President, Ms. Zola Mbalo, Deputy Chairperson of the Magistrate Commission. I would hand over to you so that you can then introduce your collective.
Okay, thank you. As already stated, my name is Zola Mbalo, Regional Court President, Free State. I'm seeing the gentleman for the first time, but we're from the same province. I'm the Deputy Chairperson of the Magistrates. Pomolemo, they call her Dr. G from Sajay, also a member of the commission. Advocate Manaka, also a member of the commission and the chairperson of the ethics committee, as well as Mr. Finger, who is the secretary of the Magistrates Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, President, and we are very glad to be with yourselves. Please note that in future, if we have a meeting, we would meet virtually on the basis that at least now we know we have seen face to face. That's the agreement of the committee that for the first time when we meet with any stakeholder or entity, let's meet them physically so that at least we put the face to the paper in terms of our engagement. So in other meetings where we would just be dealing with the reports from yourselves, we would go on virtual. So thank you for honoring our invite. Today, colleagues and honorable members and those who are joining us online, our today's meeting is about the briefing by the Magistrate Commission on progress with disciplinary proceedings and measures in place to reduce the length of time of disciplinary proceedings. B, progress with addressing systematic challenges. C, briefing on report dated 11 February 2025 on the confirmation of suspension of Ms. Argovenda, Magistrate at Linyenye, Limpopo, submitted in terms of Section 13(4)B of the Magistrate Act 1993, Act number 90 of 1993. So what will happen, we would get a presentation from yourself, as I have indicated that today, there would be no any decision that will be taken with regards to this matter. But this process is one of the process that is legislated that we need to go through it as done by the NA. So would get the presentation from yourself, and as well, members would then deliberate based on what you have presented. Feel free to indicate on issues that you think that you need to emphasize on. However, please note that we got your presentation before time. So we were able to go through it as members. Noting that we normally don't have the whole day in dealing with this item. It will be important to just give us essence and more sense on issues that you think that even those who are joining us on YouTube, they would need to get sense on what is it that is happening and how did we get where we are today with regards to this particular item. I would hand over to the commission, and then the person who has to lead us would then continue with the presentation. All our members have this presentation before them. Over to you.
Manaka will be presenting.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. Thank you so much for inviting us like this. Thank you. I was saying thank you, Chairperson, and honorable members for inviting us and for receiving us. We have indeed sent to Parliament to this committee the presentation, most of which is really formal, just to outline, especially the first few pages, what is the mandate of the commission and what legislations govern, the core legislation that governs the commission. That's self-explanatory, Chairperson, and I don't think it's prudent or time allowing for me to just read it through. It was simply to summarize what is already in the Act. And perhaps if there are questions of clarity on that point, we will then deal with them. If you then permit me to go to, so slide 2 addresses the same thing, slide 3, which is Commission Subcommittee. There is what I need to underscore is that there are a few new committees that have been established recently. Originally, the commission, as the committee will know, it's composed of the executive committee. The executive committee consists of the chairperson of the commission, as well as all the chairs of various subcommittees. So it will be the DJP Lidwaba, who chairs the commission as the chair of the executive. It will be the chairperson of the ethics committee, which is myself, the chairperson of the appointment committee, which is RCP Mbalo, the chairpersons of the other committees as well. The new committees that perhaps we should underscore on this presentation is the Quality Assurance Committee that was established last year, as well as Remuneration and Condition of Service Subcommittee of the Commission. The Quality Assurance was established following the need as a result of us seeing the complaints that come to the Commission dealing with the quality of judgments and comments that come from the High Court on special reviews. And we noticed that we do need to do quality assurance. Previously, the quality assurance was sitting with the head of, they were sitting in the head office in the commission itself, but it was done randomly by the magistrates who were appointed as quality assurance magistrates. Following the retirement of all the magistrates, there was then a need to establish a concrete structure that will have a reporting measure to the commission itself consisting of commissioners. And it is for that reason that the Quality Assurance Committee was established. It is chaired by Chief Magistrate Silova, and it has other members who assist her in that portfolio. She is also a member of the EXCO. Then the Remuneration and Condition of Service Committee was established, was the last committee to be established to address all the issues relating to remuneration and condition of magistrates and to make recommendations. So it is more of a investigative structure in order to do a comment. It's ad hoc. It consists of members of the commission and I think there are 2 co-opted members that assist who are not in the commission for a period that is permitted by the Act. It is chaired by Mr. Jumas, who's also a senior magistrate and has recently joined us as a member of EXCO. The next slide. The reporting structure of the commission is outlined on this particular slide, and it deals with the high-level reporting in terms of the relationship between the department and the commission, as opposed to the relationship between the commission and the Office of the Chief Justice. And what is highlighted in this particular slide is the fact that the commission is still pretty much managed administratively by the Department of Justice, as opposed to the Office of the Chief Justice, and it's something that perhaps needs to be looked at in the spirit of single judiciary that we're moving towards. The next slide deals with the component of the commission itself. The secretary is the head of administration appointed by the DG as provided for in the Act, and he has support of 21 administrative staff, mainly dealing with human resource finance, but I should add some of the staff members are supporting various committees, including the chair of the committee and the chairs of the various subcommittees. Then in the ethics division, there are 5 magistrates who are seconded. 2 of them are seconded, 3 were appointed to assist with the administration of complaints that relates to a magistrate in terms of receiving the complaints, summarizing the complaints, and making recommendation to the ethics committee, which is statutorily mandated to deal with those complaints. The next slide summarizes the breakdown of the appointments of magistrates and the composition in the country. It is self-explanatory, all the numbers. We will take questions at an appropriate time. The next slide deals, it's simply for noting, and it's about the general unhappiness of the service and condition of salaries and condition of service of magistrates. As I've already stated, there is already a committee flowing from this particular legitimate complaints from magistrate to investigate and make recommendation to the relevant structures in terms of that item. The other issues, except for rationalization of post, which I'll deal with in the next slide, have been covered in the earlier on. The the honorable members will recall that there are two rationalization committees that were established. One was dealing with rationalization of lower courts, and it was chaired by now Judge Makamu, who was a regional court magistrate at the time and has since been elevated to the bench. And the other one was chaired by the Honorable retired DCJ Museneke. So insofar as rationalization of the lower courts, a report has been completed, and there are now 52 magisterial districts. The commission is in the process of redistributing manpower to various courts in order to meet the particular recommendations that are meant in the rationalization and to also come closer to what has been established. The next slide deals with the appointments of magistrates. Again, the document is self-explanatory, but it will demonstrate, if we can highlight, that 223 district court magistrates were filled last year in 2023, 139 posts of senior magistrate, including those who will be dedicated to perform quality assurance in localized, were advertised, and the appointment committee I know was hard at work recently shortlisting for the particular posts. Questions will be answered specifically by RCP Mbalo should there be a need on this particular issue. But interviews are looming in July and November of this year. The next slide. I guess the next slide is really what we are here for and what the public needs to know about the works of the commission. We often say that ethics committee, being a committee that works on a daily basis with matters relating to the objective of the commission, is the one that is often on the spotlight. This slide explains that indeed there have been various concerns that were raised by members of the public, by this committee, and some we get from the media, which really highlights the duration that the commission takes to finalize the complaints. And also previously, the lack of standard operating procedure in terms of dealing with those complaints, and we will deal with that shortly. I just want to go through this slide and we will explain what measures we have taken as soon as we come to the item on the agenda, specific items on the agenda. Perhaps I can simply just highlight at this point that the commission has indeed adopted the standard operation procedure and has approved it in the recent meeting that was held by the full commission in February of 2025. Next slide deals with another thorny issue, which is just the amount of money that is being spent on magistrates who are undergoing disciplinary hearings but are on suspension with a full remuneration. And this slide simply highlights, as a way of accounting to this House and the public, how much the commission is spending on salaries of these magistrates who are essentially at home but earning a full salary. And again, I do expect questions on this issue, and we will deal with the details once members seek clarity. Next slide, please. The next slide, the first bullet point, of course, deal with the issue that I've already highlighted, which is the standard operating procedure. And I must mention at this very age that we are very grateful as the commission because it is because of the, I don't want to call it pressure, but I want to call it assistance in a way because the need to develop standard operating procedure in fact started when we were questioned by the House on what measures do we have in place to deal with this complaint. It was last year, we went back home and we did make an undertaking that we will look into the matter and we will respond to that need. Indeed, it is because of that and the visit to the commission that we, as the commission, decided to develop standard operating procedure and worked and reworked them until they at least came to a bare minimum of what we can do to address issues of delays in dealing with ethics-related matters which are sitting at the commission. Then the other issue I want to highlight on this slide is the last bullet point, which again, it must have been 2 other sessions where I appeared before one of the houses and I was asked what we are doing in terms of addressing a backlog at the commission. And because we didn't know what we were dealing with as the commission, owing to the history of the particular division, we then, as the commission, decided that perhaps we must run a file audit because often what we had is that we will get complaints from either the media saying, you've got this complaint outstanding and nothing is being done. And despite our effort to deal with the backlog, we would often get matters that seem to have been sitting somewhere. And we also had problems regarding files that were sitting somewhere in the commission that didn't have content inside, and we simply didn't know what to do with it. What we then did, chairperson and members, honorable members, is that we decided to request the department to assist us with a file audit, which was done, thankfully, and the preliminary report was released in November of 2024. What we did as the ethics committee is that because members will recall that one of the measures that we took as the committee to address the backlog and to deal with as many complaints as we can, considering that we are all not full-time at the commission. So all members of the committee, of the ethics committee, are in fact, most of them practitioners and others are senior magistrates who are stationed in their own station. So we meet on an ad hoc basis and can only deal with these complaints at that point when we meet. So to deal with or to ensure that these matters are expedited, we then came with a timetable. And on our timetable, what we then did is that we came up with what we call cleanup meetings. And the cleanup meetings were held during the week over a period of 2 to 3 days, where we would ask the commission to book a place, a hotel, and we sit there and work extended hours in order to push on the matters. There was that cost containment circular last year, and as a result, we only had 1 cleanup meeting. So all other meetings that we had were virtually to deal with only urgent matters. What then happened is that the cost containment circular has since lapsed in January, and then we could go back to the cleanup meetings, one of which we held in the past weekend, on the 12th to the 13th. 2 things happened which which are worth mentioning in this committee. The first is that there were matters where the ethics division has recommended that they have no merits and that the files should be closed. So those would be matters where a complaint comes and people deal with judicial independence. They are not satisfied with the judgment, they are not satisfied with the outcome, or any related issues. They will complain to the commission. And obviously, because a office of the magistrate is a constitutionally protected office and judicial independence is very important to protect the integrity of our judiciary. What we then do if a complaint is related to a matter directed at a magistrate exercising their constitutionally provided power to preside over matters and make decisions, then we advise accordingly. We're saying we can't interfere, your complaint deals with judicial independence, and we're saying you can either appeal or review. If it's an attorney, we simply say, you know the right thing to do. So that is the first thing. Other complaints would be because people simply went to court and they were dissatisfied with how they were either treated by other staff members of the court, be it a prosecutor, a clerk, or whoever it is that they are complaining about other than a magistrate. And therefore, we don't actually deal with those complaints because they fall outside the mandate of the commission. And we write back to the particular complainant and we're saying that unfortunately we have no power over the person you're complaining about. You can direct your complaint to the NPA if it's the prosecutor, to the manager if it's the administrative staff, and then we close our files. So those are the files that we close, and we have a lot of those. So we dealt with them in this meeting in order to expedite the complaint. So that was our key focus. The other central focus that we had was to go through the audit and check the matters which are referred to in the audit in order for us to deal with them. The audit report identified matters as far back as 2015. But it so happened that some of the matters that were identified have already been finalized. The problem arose that the register at the commission was not updated, which is why some of those matters were picked as pending. And so we went through those matters one by one, over 100 of them, you know, and because the committee had already informed the secretariat that we are going to deal with all the matters that are on the audit committee. I had highlighted which ones must definitely be dealt with on the committee. Others I could identify that they are finalized because this house has removed some of those magistrates in my lifetime at the commission. Others we didn't know what was going on. And thankfully to the secretariat, they brought all the files of most of the matters that were identified on the audit committee that I had highlighted we need to deal with. And we went through those matters clinically one by one. What is happening on this matter? It was closed. Who closed it? When was it closed? Why was it closed? Please mark the file accordingly and please update your register so that it can indicate. And I must mention that about 50 of those matters that are on the audit, you know, and it's an approximation, but close to 50, it could be more, it could be a little bit less, are no longer alive at the commission. They are actually finalized, you know. I mean, 2 of them the commission will know about because, the committee will know about because the members were removed recently, would be the matter of wrath which the magistrate was removed last year, and the matter of Hinga. They're still appearing as open, but those are gone, including the matters of Ms. Van Schalkwyk, who was also removed previously, and so forth. So we just needed to update the system and deal with those. And I'm confident that looking at the audit itself, and the work that has been put in the past years and most recent years in particular, we are looking very good. You know, we are improving on the backlog, and if things go according to the way we have planned in terms of our timelines and our projections and trajectory, we should be able to bring the commission up to date by close of this year. So that addresses the issue of audit report, as well as how we handled the matters on the audit. Then the next slide is simply just to highlight what we've been doing and the matters that we are actually finalizing, which the commission, which the committee and members of the public don't get to know, because we often deal with what is pending, but not what is done. And this is by no means the whole list, but it simply highlights the matters that have been concluded in the from 2022 and to 2024. I picked this time, one would ask why only from 2022. It's because I have an interest in it. That was the time that I was appointed as the chair of the committee, and most of the current committee members were started serving on this particular committee around about the same time. So it is simply to underscore the work of this committee since its inception going forward. For example, the matter of Hinka started before our time. What we did is simply to bring it to finality. The matter of RCP Ngadala, the complaint was lodged and the trial commenced and was finalized within a period of less than 1 year. The matter of Thrath is the one that was historical, and therefore we just brought it to finality. The matter of Benkinkula is the one that we pride ourselves, or one of the matters we pride ourselves with, because the trial, the complaint came, trial started and concluded within a period of 6 months. Again, this also highlights that we are dealing seriously and taking the concerns to heart. But I also want to mention with the Benkinkula matter is that the outcome that came out of this matter did not satisfy the committee. Of course, Mr. Benkinkula was found guilty, but the sanction is not what we expected given the gravity of the offense, and therefore we recommended to the commission to take the matter on review. The secretary, Mr. Finger, is in the process of consulting with the state attorney in order for the commission to do a self-review, because of course the presiding officer is appointed and presides on matters at the behest of the commission. And so again, this is a new phenomenon that we are introducing to say we're not going through misconduct hearings routinely. You know, we are serious and we're looking at the outcomes, and we want a bench which is reputable and which demonstrates the particular objects of our constitution. The matter of governor is on the roll of today, and therefore I'll address it at the appropriate time. The matter of Ross is another one which started last year, although the matter has been at the commission for quite some time, but it's one of those that we managed to unveil, brought up, charged the magistrate, and the trial has since been finalized, as well as the sanction. The matter of Mr. Langa is a very old matter, which comes from a very challenging province for the commission because of what is going on in that province in the courts. But again, this is one of the very old matter, dating back to 2015. And we are pushing to finalize it. Oh, it's finalized. Similarly, Ms. Mutlakar's matter has been finalized. She's going for sanction. And she's been found guilty, and the matter is going for sanctioning shortly in a foreseeable future. Ms. Vessels, it has been finalized. Kinka, Rath, and Maharaj were removed from office by with the recommendation of the commission, approval of this particular house, and finally by Parliament. Then another facet which we have noticed recently is that there are matters which were sitting in the commission unprosecuted. We then started, when we were digging and doing our cleanup, came through some of these matters, and we charged those magistrates. And as soon as they were charged, they resigned. So we also regard that as a matters that we need to bring to the attention, to say that we do see a whole lot of resignations arising from magistrates being charged for misconduct based on the complaints that were sitting in the commission. Mr. Godolosi's one is different because it was not historical. In fact, as soon as Mr. Godolosi heard that we're charging him, he tendered resignation the following day, and this is like 2 weeks ago. And so that summarizes every other thing except for the governor, which is going to be presented for purposes of removal from office, permanent removal from office. I'm not going to read, unless the chairperson so direct, the history of the matter, but I'm going to summarize it for purposes of honorable members who may not have had an opportunity to go through the pack. Ms. Govender is a magistrate, or was, because she's on suspension, still is, she's not removed. So is a magistrate whose complaint rather came as a result of comments from the bench, from the High Court. The complaint arose as Ms. Govender was sitting in a matter and postponed the case. Before the case was brought to court, and in the absence of the state and the prosecutor, Ms. Govender then acquitted the accused. So she endorsed the charge sheet without hearing anyone. After endorsing the charge sheet, then it was discovered that she has acquitted the accused without properly following the hearing, and the head of office took the matter on special review. And when the matter got to this, before the special review judges, there was a query that the judges sent back to Ms. Govender relating to whether indeed she didn't hear the particular party or parties, and she responded being dishonest about her response, saying that indeed she did. And it was indeed found that she was dishonest not only by doing what she has done, but also by her response to the particular judges. And that's where the charges of dishonesty emanates from. In this matter, we indeed submit to this House that Ms. Govender is not fit to be a magistrate, one, because she was dishonest, But secondly, because there was a travesty of justice in this matter, in that she did not follow the correct procedure. And basically, although we couldn't charge her with fraud, but doing what she has done brought the administrative of justice into disrepute. Not only the magistracy, but the administration of justice. It is for that reason that she was charged. And one other thing, I digress a bit, that I need to underscore is that often magistrates have the tool of trades that are provided by the government. And when we suspend them, or when this house suspends them, we don't get them back. One of the things that we started at this committee is that when a magistrate is on suspension, because the magistrate is no longer performing the duties, then they must bring back whatever gadget or tool that they have so that it can be used by a magistrate who's going to be appointed on their stint. So Ms. Kavenda had a laptop when she was suspended, and we requested her to bring the laptop back. And she gave a few other stories saying where the laptop is, where the laptop is not. And what we then did as the commission is that through the secretary, we wrote to her and say, if she doesn't return the laptop by a specific date, then we are going to open a case of theft and the police will come. And then the laptop came back. So that is those are some of the proactive measures that we put in place to make a difference within the commission. Back to the facts of the case, Ms. Gavenda then was found guilty. She did not attend the proceedings and she was sentenced, and the appropriate sanction which was imposed was the recommendation that she be removed from office as a magistrate. A finding that we support as the commission, and we request this committee to approve. And that's about the summary of the presentation for the committee. Thank you so much, Chair and honorable members, for an opportunity as well as for giving us attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khomolemo Moshweu. Oh, you are the one. All right. Oh, they have written opposite. So Advocate Naomi Manaka, the chairperson of the Ethics Committee. Thank you for a comprehensive presentation. And I hope they were able to follow through on what we are here about and how did we get to this point. And I'm very happy as well by the fact that you have indicated why there's been progress and positive response in terms of how you are now doing your work. You indicated that for you to get to having standard operating procedures, it was on the basis that there was a question by the portfolio committee in terms of how are you dealing with complaints, and this came to light that you must implement it. So I'm pleased that at least when you engage with committees, you are able to implement their recommendation. We are noting as well as this collective on the cleanup meetings to deal with the backlog. And I think as members, we have other questions with regards to that. Always when we meet with institution or stakeholders that we work with closely, we normally say to them, we want to employ to them to have a zero backlog mentality, where at some point we won't be saying that there's backlog, there's this and that, but we would be committed in terms of doing our work 365 days, 24/7, to ensure that we speed up the pace on responding to issues. And while you were presenting, I noted that you just had the cleanup meeting on the 12th to the 13th April. And I was asking myself, is it because of you are coming before the select committee, or was it planned prior, of which you would indicate? Because we know sometimes people do things noting that they would put them as the program that has been done on the basis that they knew that they were coming before the select committee. So you would just give us clarity that it was planned. And I think I'm noting as you are indicating, why did you have so many complaints that are not actually supposed to be dealt by yourselves? And it really shows that there's a need of the commission to do awareness outreach programs where everybody would know what is it that you are dealing with. This volume indicates something else on the other side, that maybe you have Jane who doesn't know what is the role of the commission. Hence, they feel that they would bring such issues to yourself. So now I would note, honorable members, for clarity seeking questions and as well comments. What we normally say in this select committee is that when we do our oversight and accountability, we do it from a corrective point of view, not judgmental. Because I think we have fit for purpose men and women in the commission who are able to deal with issues that are mandated for. I'm noting Honorable Kotzel, Honorable Gerik, then it will be Honorable Pala and Honorable Noe up until Honorable Nonkonyan. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much to the Commission for their presentation. At the outset, I just want to say two things, Chairperson. I unfortunately cannot agree that this is a comprehensive presentation. I think there should be a lot more detail, especially, for instance, slide 12 that deals with the magistrates who are on suspension at the cost of 31 million rand. But I will get there. Secondly, I want to say that I agree that the commission is important for various reasons. I agree that it is also important for us to look at the remuneration of magistrates, to create an environment where magistrates can do their job. I myself have worked in a magistrate's court when I was much younger. I understand that it's not always pleasant. And also, we need to create a magistracy that is above reproach. So the ethics committee is one that is really at the heart of my comments today. But before we get there, these various subcommittees, the one is the Quality Assurance Committee. It was said that it was established following the need as a result of seeing complaints regarding the quality of judgments, and that was a response to comments from the High Courts. Now, that is concerning. I think it speaks to how we get to the appointment of magistrates. I believe, and I would like you to correct me if I'm wrong, that magistrates are appointed or can be appointed if they have been acting for a period of 6 months. And I get that they need some experience, etc. But I really believe that there needs to be a harder look at how we get to the point where we're appointing magistrates who ultimately receives comments from judges to say that there's a quality problem. So quality assurance, certainly, I see the need for it, but we need to see at how we get to the point where it's necessary for a judge to complain about something like that. Now, the appointment of magistrates, I see that 139 positions were advertised. My understanding is that the process for appointing a magistrate takes much longer than what you wanted to show us in the slide, So, it's advertising and then 3 months for shortlisting and another 3 months for this and another 3 months for this. There certainly has to be an easier, better way of doing perhaps screening like we do at the Judicial Services Commission, But just your comments, please, on ways in which we can get this done much quicker, because I think you've also noted that while you're trying to fill all these positions, after they were advertised, then several become available again because people retire, et cetera, et cetera. Just your comments on that. Then to the ethics. So the advocate, sorry, I didn't get your surname. Thank you. Various concerns are raised by public and this committee and the media. And certainly, yes, over the past few months, and certainly since I've been elected as a member of parliament and served in this committee, I have seen several ones, and I would like to raise some of them with you. But the duration of these complaints, just to go back to that, if we look at slide 12, which is the magistrates who are on suspension, the chairperson of this committee made a comment, I think it was perhaps tongue-in-cheek, about your passing of the SOP in February this year. Now I've asked around, and your SOP seems pretty much the same as the previous SOP. Is this a new SOP or is it updated? And if so, the question is, why now? Because if I look at, and you yourself have said that you've been in this position, or you've taken on this role in 2022. If we look at Magistrate McKenzie, for instance, and if we look at the regional court president in the KZN, and Zamande, suspended since 2018. I know perhaps what you're going to say is that there are criminal criminal charges, and you would like the criminal cases to run its course. But you know, I want to use the example of Magistrate McKenzie. Now, he's the magistrate who had communication with an accused who appeared before him, and you already have evidence that more than 190 telephone calls have been made between the two of them. And I think there was also was it a golf game or something? I don't know what else could be proved. Now, I mean, we have to get to the point where we say, can the Magistrates Commission not deal with these clear-cut cases easier or quicker? But also, when do we get to the point where we say, if you are perhaps one of the magistrates who are delaying the processes, at what point do we cut your salary? I don't believe that we can have magistrates acting for 7 years without with them being paid. I mean, that is a little bit ridiculous. And what message does that
Honorable
send?
Gotzel, as you conclude.
Yeah, Chairperson, I was hoping that we could have a little bit more time, seeing as we're only 5 members today.
No, consistency, please.
Sure. Then I will conclude then by saying that I'm very interested also to understand how you make a decision as to who is going to be referred to the Ethics Committee, because I had a communication from the Commission last year to say that a Magistrate, Ezra Morrison, would be referred to the Ethics Committee after she neglected to refer a child who was in conflict with the law to the Children's Court. And when I followed up for about the 3rd or the 4th time, I was informed in March that this magistrate is no longer being referred to the Ethics Committee because the Magistrates Commission had already decided in September last year that she did nothing wrong. Now, that is a travesty of justice, in the same way as you explained Magistrate Govender committed a travesty of justice, because this magistrate failed a child. She failed Devon Nell, who was murdered in the Western Cape last year. And even if she did have a discretion, that discretion should have been exercised judicially, but also magistrates are a creature of statute. And there was a report that said that this child is a serious risk. So I don't understand how the Commission can just simply make a decision to say, either this is something that must be appealed, because that child who is now dead cannot appeal. And there are several emails between myself and Mr. Finger. So the matter is with you, and I would really like to understand how you decide to refer these matters to ethics or not. And with that, I will then finally conclude. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The reason I have left you on that last question is because of you've been consistent wanting to raise it as we meet with the department. So I felt this is the right platform where you can get a response in terms of how far is the process and the outcome itself. Over to you, Honorable Gerrie.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to the Commission. Hearty welcome. Chairperson, I have a few questions to raise and a few issues to address, and I'm going to be very brief today because I know you want to go on Easter holiday. But on the
Honorable
last,
Gerrie, I don't think it will be proper for this platform to behave as if we are in a hurry for Easter. I know you normally don't go overboard. So just make your point.
I
Thank you.
don't understand what you say, Madam Speaker, with respect. In any way, it was just a preamble in order to get my notes in order on my mind. And that was that. Let me just get to the last point that you've made, Advocate, on the issue of Magistrate Governor. You've mentioned that she was on suspension, and then you called her for the laptop, for instance, to bring it back. Now, in my mind and in terms of how I understand labor law, suspension does not mean termination. Person is on suspension. In other words, the person is still in the service of the department, whether you've got charges against her or not. And I presume that she has not been found guilty as yet because she's still on suspension. I think the interpretation there, because if you pull it right through, it may cause some controversies in the department and heavy problems for other people to follow. If you suspend and you pull in all the time the tools of the trade, and these people, for instance, and we're not talking about the tools of the trade here, we're talking about all other benefits. Because if you pull in the tools of the trade, it may follow that you pull in or cancel out other benefits that these people may enjoy. The point is they are still in the service of the state. It may happen to any one of you. And that is the basic interpretation. Once you take the tools or anything away, it means you are now acting punitively, and for that matter. That's the first point. It's a major point because it's not the first time we are dealing with such a matter, not just in the Magistrates Commission, but also elsewhere, where people are being suspended and their rights are basically taken away or their benefits are taken away. I also want to understand in terms of quality control, do you have, or can you give us insight into some cases or cases from the lower courts that were taken on appeal over the years or per financial year? How many cases were taken on appeal? How many cases were lost? How many cases were lost due to miscarriage of justice or a misinterpretation of the law? Because that will determine the quality of magistrate that you have in your service. And if there's a consecutive or continuous appeal on such a magistrate, then we must also ask questions with regard to the capability and the capacity of that magistrate. And therefore, I am asking the statistics. The cleanup meetings, yes, that is fine. I also agree with the chairperson. It came to my mind, the cleanup meeting just before the meeting here today. A person can think what you want to, but the idea that I got, and you must try to refute this thing in my mind that says, specifically when you said you are not meeting, you are not full-time on the commission, but you're meeting on an ad hoc basis. That's a great point of worry to us, because given the importance of your work, we cannot agree to you meeting as a commission on an ad hoc basis. There must be a continuous grid timetable in terms of which you meet. It is also not acceptable that you meet over a weekend. Should be over normal working days, because you should formalize this very important work. So I want you to give us insight on this ad hoc versus full-time, and how can you alleviate going forward? I understand that you have a very busy schedule, yes, but how can you alleviate this? Do you need extra workers, extra assistants, extra personnel, and so on and so on? It's important work that you do. You cannot do it on an ad hoc basis. In other words, as and when you find time. It cannot be. It is a delay and a procrastination of processes. And in our oversight work, we must see that things are being done properly. The audit report is a problem to us. Well, the audit was dated back to 2015. And although you mentioned, Madam Advocate, that there's an improvement, we don't have the statistics in front of us. It's not written on the report in terms of the improvement. We want to see the improvement. We want to see the AG's report, the Auditor General's report in terms of the Commission's work, whether it's intertwined into the Department of Justice or wherever. We want to see that, and the report that the Auditor General has been given with regard to the work that you are doing. Just lastly, if I may come in here, I'm full well aware of the Ezra Morrison case. It happened in Mossel Bay, in the Southern Cape. That matter, in terms of my understanding, has been dealt with by the Commission. It has been concluded, and the Commission has spoken on that issue. We regard that matter as being finalized. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Gerrick. Honorable Pala.
Thank you, Chair. And let me as well appreciate the presentation by Advocate Manaka. And Advocate and members of the Commission, let me as well start by appreciating the work you are doing. The advocate has spoken with authority on the presentation. My appreciation is based on slide number 7, the appointments of a magistrate, which is along the transformation, and it shows that you are on top of the government, policies to transform the institution. And I see here you have more of women in charge. Kaspedi, there's a saying which says, Musadi Oswara Chipaga Bogalin. We really appreciate that as politicians. Thank you very much for that. The other point which I want to raise here is a point which is just raised by my colleague here. Would want you to speak about your performance. You must speak about your appropriation, the strategic plan, your APP, and the issues which are raised by the Auditor General. We want you to reflect on that. The other point which I will want to speak about here is I think the slide where you speak about the single judiciary, there's a growing concern calling for the ministry to be under the Chief Justice. What are the reasons behind that? And what are issues which are making you not succeed or not the calls to be acted upon? On the issue of Mrs. Govender, we had this for the first time when we were on oversight. I think we are in Toyando. We heard about this and we're concerned about this long delays of Mrs. Govender. I think on other issues, I think the general consensus about the public in delays in finalizing matters by the magistrates. I think that, and including the quality of judgments, as that we mentioned, those are some of our concerns. Slide 12, with regard to the suspensions of magistrates with remuneration, also is a concern. I think my colleague as well here has mentioned it. I will not go into it. We appreciate how you deal with the backlog, and the advocate indicated here that by the end of the year, we'd have done with all the work, outstanding work. Advocate, we'll want you to see you doing that. And next time when we meet, please just indicate that to us that you've done it. There should not be any more. On slide 16, the resignations of people who are charged. When a person is charged, it's because of misconduct. Now, when a person resigns, it's because of his trying to avoid taking accountability. What do you do? What do you do about it? Do you leave the matters as they are, or do you follow up on the matters? I think those are the issues which I wanted to raise. But the other thing is the 52 magisterial districts. How do you do your demarcations in terms of the 52 areas you've indicated here? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Phala, and I'm glad that you indicated the issue of oversight, because it really shows that this matter is not that we get to know about for the first time, and we are of grave concern that issues they prolong. You could imagine if they prolong with you as the commission, not about other ordinary cases. So there's more that needs to be done, and soonest with regards to responding to these issues. Honorable Noe, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me join my colleagues in appreciating the presentation and the accountability that the Commission through Advocate Manaka has displayed as far as the report that they gave us. However, I want to agree with Honorable Godsell that it's a pity that presentation, when it is prepared on a slide, it's a shorthand, doesn't cover everything else, but the presentation will then elaborate, and that is the information which if will have come as part of the package, will have clarified matters much better. But because this is our first meeting, maybe as we comment, going forward, it will be better to give full information on certain things so that sometimes we do not formulate wrong perceptions based on one sentence, whereas there is more under that that could have assisted in terms of understanding. Chair, as Advocate Manaka was presenting and linking it as I was reading the documents that I was able to read, I felt that somehow the commission at one stage, it was dead. It was there by name, but it seems you have been able to hold the fort despite the glaring mountain of challenges that the commission was faced with. And the work that you have carried out in terms of the cases that you have dealt with, to a very large extent, confirms that you have been doing your best to clean up, as you said. the cleanup issue, it's very central to an indication that you have been doing your best. But also I want to take on the question of Honorable Gerike around the structure itself in terms of ad hoc and not being ad hoc. It will be also important to us to get a feedback as you look at the act that established the commission and all the provisions that goes with it. Do you think it is fit to carry out its mandate as provided in the act? Because if you have to work at some stages ad hocly, then it suggests that something needs to be, it's a gray area. It needs to be attended to because it removes you from your work to go and to attend to other matters at certain stages. I see there in terms of the act, there's a parliamentarian who's supposed to be sitting on the commission. I don't know whether that person is there or how is it appointed, but is it possible that a parliamentarian becomes part of the 27 members? I'm not sure. I just needed clarity there. And then, Chair, I also tried to look at the cases, the nature of the cases that Commission is dealing with as to whether what are we actually dealing with here. And it came to my understanding that we are dealing with a conduct, behavior, and attitude, personal, ethical, and of our judiciary. And my question was, whether do we have the right diagnosis of what we are dealing with? Do we have the right prescription and the treatment? If this matters continues to happen, it goes back to the appointment. When we appoint magistrates, what are we looking at? Does this matters, are we able to pick them up front, that it's not about only qualifications, but it goes beyond qualifications, whether we are appointing the right person? Because the cases that are before you, the basis of them, for an ordinary person like me, it leaves much to be desired. If you look at the case of Magistrate Bodlani, I think it's 3 of them, and Bodlani and sorry, Chair, where are those? Where the money is going down the drain. I want to also agree with it's advocate, it's Magistrate Bodlani and Zemande and Singh. You know, if you look at the gravity of those cases, you hardly can believe that those misconduct are conducted by a legal person. Then for me, it goes to the morality of it. of the country, if we are we serious that we will deal with corruption? Are we serious that we are dealing with crime? If people on the bench can commit such crimes, how do we hope that we will really, rounding up, Chairperson, I'm saying again, going to diagnose and what, looking at how the magistrates who are charged, the tactics that they employ, it says you are dealing with people who understand the law and who knows very well the weaknesses of that law. And that's why they are able to make money sitting at home, earning over $1 million doing nothing. And that goes to the where I'm saying the ethical part of the magistrate. Chair, I think I will stop there because colleagues have covered some of them, but I just want to emphasize this one of Honorable Pala as far as the audit is concerned. There's 31 billion plus that has already gone down the drain, and there's still more. You do give hope, Advocate Manaka, that perhaps in 2025 you'll have cleaned up this, but it is clear that consistently we will be having money going down the drain, and we will have to employ different measures in trying to make sure that right now we are dealing with a shortage of budget. The country is in trouble, but there is money that is just going, Jay, and just by way of how people who have been entrusted with the responsibility of being part of running government, but they conduct themselves in a manner in which the country becomes a laughing stock in a way. So, Chair, on the SOP, is it SOP?
You conclude, I
Yeah.
thought that you
No,
concluded.
no, I actually concluded.
Alright.
I haven't gone, I must be honest, in detail with the SOP because, of course, it was just signed now in March. But I want to believe it's kind of a document that intends to make sure that it turns around how the commission has been functioning. So I think going forward, our purpose of meeting should not always be a mixture of things. Sometimes we need to be focused on dealing with matters that says to us in terms of the structures that we are having and the issues that they engage with, are we on the right track or we just having the structures and hoping that it will do work, but when we sit, we see more problems than solutions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nowe, and I take note that that is a suggestion that moving forward, as we meet with them, we'll be dealing specifically with operations where you think as members of parliament, perhaps we need to help you to make sure that you do your work smoothly as legislatures. Honorable Nonkonyane.
Chair, honorable members, the delegation from the Magistrates Commission, our staff, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity. I think for the first and foremost, I must also join my colleagues to thank the delegation for presenting this report. First thing for me, which I didn't hear, perhaps I wanted to hear, is the absence of the leader of the commission, Justice himself. I didn't hear whether he has apologized, and therefore I know when he's absent, the deputy is there equal to the task, which has proven today. I'm not having anything negative about that. But I think for record purposes, we needed to know where is the leader. And within that, also in line with what my colleagues have said about the report itself. Yes, we appreciate the report, but with respect to me, it is somewhat scanty. I'll tell you why. For instance, when you're dealing with the suspension of the magistrates, We start with the very first one, 27th of September 2018, of that of Nzimande, which cost us 8.1 million already. You just give us that. Why? Why? Who slept in the job here? In terms of the magistrates, whatever, I know you have just recently admitted. Fortunately, I've been a magistrate for some years. Definitely, misconduct of this kind cannot take years. So clearly, an explanation needed to be given in this report. Same, the second one, for instance, is that of Nair, 5.5 million. And then the third one, it was in 2020. The other one, in May 2020, is 7.3 million. You see, we talk about 31.3 million. Is often without consequence. What happened? Why taxpayers been used to pay people staying at home and doing nothing? I would love, Chair, that each of these cases we must give a comprehensive report. I don't know at what stage are these suspensions, whether they're still going on now or not. Then, secondly, Chair, is the question of the removal. Cases concluded. Yes. Cases concluded. Again here, indicate to us whether there's any finality, whether they have been taken on review. Because you may say it was concluded in 2022. Perhaps some of those people may have taken this thing on appeal on review under judicial process. We don't know. So we needed to know that. And again, to indicate my point that we needed a comprehensive report, more comprehensive report, to talk about Langa case, very old, challenging, since 2015, challenging. But we would like to know those challenges. Why? A 2015 case, it had to be concluded, of course, in 2022, but there are still challenges that we're telling us about. And again, you also indicated about Bengekula case, trial within 6 months, yes. And then the outcome was done, and the matter is on review. What stage is it? And this thing. That is why, therefore, I would really earnestly, through you, Chair, request that we given a comprehensive report on these matters. Thirdly, on the issue of transformation, again, I hear, but I didn't hear anything about transformation in your document. In terms of transformation of the judiciary, fortunately myself and Honorable Gottsel, we serve in the Judicial Service Commission, that's in respect of judges. But I also know that there are other colleagues that are serving in your structure from Parliament. But on the issue of transformation of the judiciary is key. And then I would have loved if there is something here to clearly indicate to us whether you are on this matter, which is very, very critical in South Africa in terms of transformation of the judiciary itself. And then the other thing, Chair, I think, yes, the other one is this: why only take this year to have this very, very important document? Very, very good document. I just have a look into it. But why? Because, as I say, I was a magistrate many years ago, and common sense and common law was applicable. If you are charged of serious case of misconduct, my colleagues said, you can deal with those. Some of those must be dealt with at the district level, at the regional level. Must they wait to be dealt with only at the commission now? If so, then we have got a problem. Because certain other cases can be dealt with at a district or regional level as far as I'm concerned. That is why, therefore, Chair, I would really urge that we be given these things in writing, and so that we can really assist. And I will, because of time, I will therefore leave the other thing, particularly the question of the preliminary report. I hope that preliminary report, and you said it's finalized in April, that is now, we are being finished with that report. It will be very, very good in our oversight. Sorry, Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Nonkonyane. Advocate Manaka, I think all of our members, they are indicating a grave concern with regards to those who are paid while suspended. And there's a need for the commission to respond swiftly and as well give us full details on what is happening on each and every case. Because indeed, as they were indicating, I saw them, they were very creative. Slide one, there's no the numbering of slides. So in future, let's get slides indicated, slide one, because Honorable Gotzel and Honorable Pala, they tried to be innovative by putting numbers there, maybe based on how they counted the page. But it is important that in future, we have numbering so that it becomes easy for us to do reference. And the other thing that I want to indicate, I want you to highlight the general challenges confronting magistrates in respect of daily operations, workload, backlogs, and as well clarify how many magistrates are in acting posts. How often are magistrates receiving training, and what is the nature of the training which you refer to? Because I think issues of ethics, I get worried when we have to take a magistrate or a judge through that process. I mean, those are custodian of the Constitution. And as well, issues of Bill of Rights. So I want to check if you do have ethics training, and or what is it that you normally do in terms of capacitating them? Because I know us as members of parliament, we always go for refreshing training as it when we come from constituency period. So please give us indication on how, what are the trainings that you offer for your magistrates? And as well, we know that this workload, when we're doing oversight at Limpopo, they indicated that the magistrate vis-a-vis the complaints, like it's very hectic for them to do their work. So I want to check what measures are put in place to address their mental well-being in the course of their work, because we know mental health is one of the part that when we do work that seeks to depress us, we need at least to have a space that is conducive where we can offload. What are the root causes as well related to magistrate misconduct? Have you conducted any review or evaluation with a view of proactively addressing some of these issues? I think this is a follow-up based on what Honorable Noe could have asked in terms of the diagnosis of the issues that we are dealing with. And lastly, I want to check if these magistrates, when they are employed, do they go through vetting? Because you would find that you hire Jane, and Jane, perhaps Jane is just an insolvent person. So I want to check if, do you have a vetting process as you actually employ the magistrate or our judges? Over to you, Mama Manaka, and please indicate if you would refer a certain issue to other colleagues and would responding to those issues.
Thank you so much, Chairperson and honorable members, for the questions. Can I propose, Honorable Chair, that we respond in the following way? I will refer the issue dealing with training to Dr. G, Dr. Khumulemo Mosheu, because she is in the commission by virtue of her being the CEO of SAJE, which is the Training Institute for the Judiciary. I will then refer the issue of appointment and related matters to RCP Mbalo. She will address all those fully. And the issue of mental health, I will ask Mr. Finger to give an outlay because I do know that there is a program in existence of the commission that deal with the magistrates' mental health. As soon as they are done, I will then address the outstanding issues. But before I give Dr. Khumulemo a chance, the issue of that has been raised very strongly and legitimately about the content of the report, as well as in particular about the magistrates who are on suspension with remuneration. We do have a comprehensive report that we send to Parliament every 3 months, updating the progress in the matter and explaining the challenges that are faced on each matter at every stage. I will quickly flag it at the right time through Mr. Finger, just to highlight some of the issues that has caused delay. Hopefully that will address the concerns that are raised. I took it for granted when I presented and looking at the program that that summary has already reached Parliament, and that at a different time, of course, and that the contents were noted. But I'll address them as soon as I come back to deal with the other issues concerned. Please permit me, Honorable Chair, to give perhaps, I'm not sure, between RCP and Dr. G, they can choose who needs to start. Thank you.
Good morning again, honorable members. The two issues I'll deal with, there was a question that related to quality control of judgments. Let me just say the mandate of the Institute is to deliver training for judges and magistrates. And we also conduct research, and we are always trying to improve our service offerings, the courses that we are. So one of the projects that we just started the beginning of this year is the project of looking at judgments of magistrate that goes on review, whether it's special review or automatic review, and identify issues that would assist us to improve our training material. We're hoping that in that way, we'll be able to catch these loopholes that are being flagged during review. There are some of the cases that go on appeal, and the JP would be as part of the judgment, as that the judgment should be referred to SAJE, which is the institute, and then we will, go through it and see what is it that, and check in our training material whether there's something that we are missing to try and deal with that. In terms of training, let me start with the training of district court magistrates. It takes place almost every week on different topics. Just, we've got what we call 4 streams in the Institute on civil, criminal, family, and children. And then we've got another one that is other. That is where we have stress management, soft skills, computer literacy, judicial conduct and etiquette, and quite a number. We've got a fully fledged annual training schedule that we could also share with you. Just yesterday, we had the meeting of EXCO of the Institute, where the training schedule for 2025-26 was being recommended for approval to council. which is chaired by the Chief Justice. The meeting will be taking place next week. 125 courses were recommended by EXCO for implementation. But I need to mention that we also deal with, I heard that ad hoc, yeah, it's not the right term, you want something full term, but we also have ad hoc courses where, for example, an issue is raised. For example, there was an issue around Esther that was raised in the, I think, South Cape, and there was a course that took place, I'm talking about 2-3 years ago. So where there is some issues that are raised and we are able within our means to deliver that training, we do, or we even do virtual training. For regional court magistrates, it's not as frequent as district magistrates because of their 3-month court roll. So there's more virtual where we've got a bigger number. Yeah, but it's not as like I said, it's not as frequent as regional magistrates. Just to comment on the mental well-being, the question on the mental well-being, I think that's what the secretary will deal with. But like I said, as part of our menu, we do have stress management and soft skills courses that we deal with. But members should also note that judicial training in South Africa is not compulsory. There are instances where people go through ethics investigations and hearing, and then the recommendation would be a particular magistrate should undergo training. We really struggle to let them and attend those training because it is not compulsory, unlike other countries. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Chair. I'll deal with the appointments with the issues raised regarding the appointment of magistrates, starting with the 6 months acting that was mentioned. With the district magistrates, we have been looking at magistrates who have acted, even in the regional court, but we also need to give an opportunity to those who have not acted, like prosecutors who cannot get an opportunity to act at all because they are not allowed. And legal aid South Africa only allows them to act for 3 months. So as the committee, we usually feel that if we see potential, a person has been prosecuting for a long time, a person has been an attorney for a long time, and when conducting interviews and we see potential because we ask legal questions, then we do recommend those persons. So we do not only stick to acting when it comes to the district court. Coming to the regional court, yes, we do regard acting as important because we're dealing with the more serious matters in the regional court. And so we do ask legal questions, so we do not only look at the qualifications, but at the content. And with the appointments taking longer, yes, indeed, they take longer because we do not have enough personnel to assist. To start with, we're still using paper even with the adverts. People have to fill in manually, submit to the commission. The commission is only then they will be able to scan and load into our systems and send to the commissioners and all. So it takes longer, I agree. And we've been pleading with the department to assist us with that. We're still waiting. We do not know when, but they promised that they will take it into consideration this year. But we do not know how long that will take, because we believe that had everything been done electronically, then it would have been faster and longer. But as Advocate Manaka has stated, with the advert that went out in December 2024 for the regional magistrates and JQA senior magistrates, at least we've done shortlisting for the regional courts. On 5 May, we are starting with the interviews. So we believe that at least we tried to cover and not take as long as we usually do. Thank you. I think those basically are the issues that were raised regarding appointments. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much, and members. I will also take the opportunity maybe just to add on some of the issues. So, Honorable Member, when it comes to transformation, I think the spreadsheet, or sorry, we thought that will speak volume, you'll see. And I think Honorable Member highlighted the issue of 54% when it comes to women, Black women. I'm sorry, women appointment. So it's just that we did not highlight it, but I think it's very clear on the slide, you know, in terms of transformation. And I think it's something that perhaps we felt we didn't need to overemphasize on because it was very glaring as you look at the Excel spreadsheet. The issue of wellness, we do have a contract, Honorable Chair, that a service provider appointed for wellness of magistrate. The only thing that perhaps from the Secretariat we need to promote going forward, perhaps with the chiefs, chief magistrate and regional court, is to promote this, the uptake, because the uptake is very low. The money is there reserved, but the uptake is really very low. Magistrates are not taking up the utilizing the service. So I think it's an issue of promotion that as we go back, we'll just have to intensify on. I think the other issue I wanted to touch on was there was an issue of performance and the APP in terms, sorry, the audit by the Auditor General. We have not, I think, over the years been subject of audit report. Because this is the department that's being audited of the Department of Justice. Remember, we're an entity of the Department of Justice. So I don't know whether that has to do with the anomaly that we actually are dealing with the judiciary. So there's that sensitivity around that area, because we've highlighted the issue of we should actually be with the Office of the Chief Justice, but that's a policy issue. From our side, we could only mention it, but it's really a policy issue that from the minister and the presidency, it has to happen at that level. But we've not been a subject of an audit. Maybe just lastly, because I know that this is information perhaps that I may have, when it comes to resignations of those that are charged, and I think Advocate Managa will touch on the legal opinion that she sought, but importantly, we wrote a letter to Law Society, the LPC, sorry, to highlight that these people, because invariably they resign and go and perform, you know, as being advocate or an attorney, that wherever there's someone who indicate that they were an acting magistrate or a magistrate, that before they give them any, if they apply for admission or anything, they need to write back to the commission and inquire of their conduct. And I must say the LPC has been complying with that request. Wherever there's someone that has indicated they were acting magistrate or a magistrate, they want admission, they have been writing letters to us to inquire as to whether they've got any pending matter. So that at least has been happening from that side. Chair, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I suppose that deals with a few concerns that were raised. And without belaboring the point, I think I'm tempted as well to just close up the issue of transformation, because of course it sits very dearly to our hearts. Just to show the numbers and the statistics, it's not only the numbers, but it actually demonstrates the number of magistrates who are currently in the establishment in the whole country. So if one has regard to the slide itself, which dealt with appointment of magistrates, I'm just going to highlight at least 3 things so that we move on. One is that on the bottom part of that, on the top part of that slide, column number 3, which gives the breakdown of race and gender at all levels, and without going into the details. But the percentage is that African females are now sitting at 28%, which is the highest percentage. And in terms of numbers, it is 369. And if one looks at the particular content of the entire establishment, they are in the majority. So we have more African female magistrates within the establishment of the magistracy than any other race. And if we then go to the grand total of females in general, because of course transformation is not only about Black, it's also about females in general. On the bottom part, the fourth column from the right, it gives the grand total of females of all races within the establishment. And we have 54%, which is the majority of magistrates within the establishment. And then just the next column, it gives the grand total of all Blacks generic magistrate, and they're sitting at 77%. So this simply speaks volumes and hopefully addresses the concern about transformation and the issues related thereto. Chair, I'm going to ask, with your permission, that I answer questions as asked by each member. And before I move to the next member, you should permit the member to say if we have covered everything that they have raised in their question. If that is permissible, if not, I'll take direction from you.
Okay, Chair, what I can say to you is that don't leave anything out in terms of your response, so that you don't sit there and say you have covered them or not. And where you feel that you are short in terms of giving us full details, indicate, because we will give you at least 14 working days to give us a fully fleshed report with regards to those issues.
Thank you, Chair. Noted. I'm not sure, and the secretary stuck. Did you get it? Okay. Oh, he's struggling to charge his laptop, and the report is on the. Can't we connect here to flag it with this? Is it on Amanda? Yeah, it's called Murphy's Law. Happen to have forgotten my charger back in Joburg, and my laptop died. Now the secretary's laptop is not charging. So we'll use, thank you so for your assistance. Yeah.
Honorable Pala? Yes, yeah.
So this is not the presentation that we were working on. This is an answer to the question dealing with the details of all the magistrates that are on suspension and addressing all the delays in each matter. This report is often it's actually sent to Parliament every 3 months with an update. So it's a bit longish, but I'm going to summarize it. And I'm going to ask the secretary to please circulate it today so that members can be able to read it and maybe perhaps for the future, ask us questions.
Honorable Khiri?
Can I maybe just come up with a suggestion or proposal? I appreciate the advocate wanting to explain the report now. It is appreciated, but we were not privy to that report initially or to that information. If it's possible, that you can most probably just escalate that report to us, we can prepare for another occasion and then interact when you come back again, if that is possible, Chairperson. And it's not because of the interest of time. We have time to sit here, but we were not privy. We must also do some preparation on reports, prepare ourselves when we come here. The reports are not just for noting. We must interact and engage on the reports, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank, Rick, Honorable Kotza.
Chair, yes, I'd like to support the proposal by Honorable Gericke and also perhaps ask whether we can consider making this item a standard item at the end of each term, so that we have a progression of considering these reports every term. I believe that is within our mandate to do.
Thank you. At least you have covered some of my closing remarks. Indeed, would have this item every 3 months because it is legislated. And I think Honorable Noe has made a suggestion as well to say, noting what you have given us today, would have to have a program of action that speaks to thematic issues that we think as legislators we need to hear from the horse's mouth so that we are able to assist you as we do our work on daily basis. So feel free and respond to other matters. And as I said, indicate to those that you think that within 14 days, based on this meeting, you would do submission. It will be important.
Thank you, honorable members, and thank you, Chair. In fact, we are called often after we submit the report to come and do a presentation only on the report before the houses. So the proposal is accepted. 14 days, what can we do? Today, we will send the report. So we beat the 14 days. We are serious about attending to the concerns raised. So Mr. Finger will either send the report today because it's updated, or tomorrow because his laptop is not charging as soon as he gets back to the office.
Richard, just to disrupt you, I see there's a hand behind you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair, and my sincere apologies for putting my hand up. I just want to indicate in terms of the report, we in fact received the report that Mr. Finger is referring to and at Manaka, the 3-monthly report. We received the report in the office of the minister. We're just trying to get clarity whether it should be, whether we must submit it to the portfolio committee or whether it should go via parliament. So we're just trying to get clarity on that because we are of the view that the report can be submitted directly from the Magistrates Commission to Parliament. That is our view here. But there is a view from some of the officials at Parliament that it must come from the executive, and we are a bit in disagreement with that. So we will get clarity in the next day or two, and then the report will be submitted as requested.
Thank you. I'm not sure if members would want to engage this, but I think it's an announcement that we need to note. And when it fit, would then dispute when we feel that it is not properly done or it doesn't gel well with us. But let's note this matter. Let's allow Advocate Manaka to respond unless Honorable Noe, there's something that you would want to say, and Honorable Gericke.
I apologize, I'm not being like what semantic, whatever. You know, I hear advocate said so, and the gentleman behind said parliament. Now, it's important to rather advocate to, if you say to a particular office, because if you say parliament, then for me, it's too broad. Which office, who is responsible, who is being submitted to. I understand the portfolio committee, and this is the select committee of the NCOP, so that we are sure where it has been sent to. We need to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Noe. Honorable Gericke.
Yeah, Chair, briefly, maybe to Parliament, yes, but as my colleague has said, there are different departments or divisions, so to speak, within Parliament. This is the National Council of Provinces. We are the Select Committee. At the National Assembly, you get the Portfolio Committee. They deal on a different level. We deal on another level. And our mandates are not necessarily the same. So in terms of my understanding, there should be nothing to impede, so to speak, or to bar you from bringing the report here. Our role is oversight as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I think your issues are for noting as well. However, what he said still stands to say that he's waiting for an indication if this report must go via the executive, then the executive to the speaker's office, from the speaker's office to us. Because at the ultimate end, it will reach the select committee based on protocols. So you have actually assisted us in terms of indicating that the report is there, which is important. From our side, as this table would just make follow-up, Honorable Kherik and Honorable Noe, with regards to that, so that we don't even delay in terms of catching up with the issues that are tabled there. Over to you, Advocate Manaka.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. I'm going to address the questions as they came in terms of that sequence, starting with Honorable Godse. I believe the first few matters raised have been addressed, the one being the issue of the comprehensive presentation, dealing with, in particular, the matters of magistrates on suspension. That addresses 3 issues. Issue of quality assurance and training of magistrates, Dr. G has dealt with that. The question dealing with appointment and a quicker way to do that, RCP Mbalo has addressed it. And what she was talking about in terms of making it quicker is perhaps to get electronic way of dealing with the applications, that they are submitted electronically, shared electronically, and that may speed up the process. Ethics related matters. The SOPs, insofar as I know, the first time the issue of SOPs was raised was when the commission appeared before Parliament. I had not seen any SOPs prior to this copy. In fact, we spent a whole amount of time. I know I did the first draft on my own without having seen anything, based on the information in order to discuss it with the Ethics Committee and to make recommendations. And I know Mr. Finger and his admin staff, the Ethics Division members, some of whom have been there forever, also sat down and, based on our engagement since we have started, drafted some information. And the 2 documents were matched, and then they were discussed at EXCO, and then they were discussed at the commission. So that is the process that it took place. If there were any SOPs, which I doubt, considering that the ethics division was very incapacitated. It had 1 member or so at some point who was dealing with all these complaints, and that we reported at some point, but it's no longer an issue because we now have 5 magistrates, which is why we're not reporting on it, and it's historical. So yes, they are new. Why it took so long is the next question. It did. I guess it's not something that we considered based on what we wanted to achieve was to deal with complaints, and we actually never had a method. There was no system in place. It was trial and error. We were doing what we could at the time until a member of Parliament, a member of one of the committees said to us, "Do you have SOPs?" You know, and it's only then that it dawned on us to say we don't have. So, to which we are grateful, and with the benefit of hindsight, we should have thought about it, but we didn't. Thank goodness we have them now. We're answering different questions, and it's a matter of the past. The issue of Mkanzi and Honorable Godse, you raised Mkanzi in particular about why is it, and Simande, I see, why it's taking so long given the serious nature of the cases, and why are they still salaried? You know, in circumstances where the misconduct started so long ago. It is of grave concern to us. In fact, this committee will be pleased to know that at some point, we wrote to Mr. Mkanzi as the committee and said, can you give reasons why this suspension should now be without remuneration? Because that's what we want to recommend to the commission as the committee, so that the commission can recommend to the minister and eventually to parliament. And at that point, he raised a legitimate reason and said, not all the occasions were caused by me. At one point, the person leading evidence was sick and the postponement was occasioned due to that reason. At another point, we know the magistrate retired and we had to sort out the issue of the magistrate coming back on an acting position so that the matter can continue. But most importantly, we know that Mr. Mkanzi instituted a review and then didn't prosecute the review. And that was the reason why mainly we wanted to proceed without remuneration. It is correct that Mr. Mkanzi is facing criminal charges. And in fact, he has been convicted now. And with the meeting that we had, this was one of the issues we revisited to say, now that he's convicted, shouldn't we be approaching him with, again, asking him why you still paid, seeing that you are convicted? And I believe that process is underway. We were just waiting for the relevant documents so that we can recommend to EXCO to implement if they so agree with us. The matter of Nzimande has been a pain for the commission. It's all systematic delays. Initially, the person presiding and leading evidence were magistrates. No, the presiding officer were magistrates and the person leading evidence, that is when the case started, were requested from the NPA, so they were prosecutors. Then the prosecutors were removed because of reasons unrelated, and then magistrates were appointed to prosecute. The magistrates who were presiding officers were going on retirement. They then said they can't start with this matter because they're going on retirement, new people must be appointed. And I think the prosecutor as well. The commission then met around 2022, 2023, I can't give the correct date, but the commission met and decided that one, due to his seniority and the complexity of the matter and the duration that this trial is likely to take, a retired judge should be appointed to preside over the matter so that we don't take magistrates out of their work, you know, and cause more problems. And then we should get counsel to prosecute. So the whole thing was privatized. It took a little bit longer administratively to get the retired judge appointed due to administrative glitches with the department and sorting out all the matters, because I believe this was the first time a retired judge is appointed by the commission to deal with a disciplinary matter. So that happened, and the first set of counsel were appointed. They read the documents, which are bulky. It took a bit for them, and then they came back with a product and reported to the commission. But when they were reporting to the commission was not satisfied with their work. So the senior counsel involved was then excused, and the junior who was on the matter remained, and another junior was then appointed. As I reported previously, then there was an issue between the two juniors who were appointed to prosecute. The commission again was faced with that. The matter had to come back to the commission. and then they were terminated. A new set of counsel was appointed. The trial has since commenced. 15 witnesses. 15 witnesses have testified thus far. The matter is coming up in shortly this week or next week, 2 to 6 June. And 9 witnesses are expected to testify in that particular misconduct hearing. And then thereafter, according to the magistrate responsible for this matter in the Ethics Commission, she said that after the 9 witnesses, perhaps 5 or 6 more will testify, and the commission may close its case depending on whether it has everything it needs. So there has since been progress, even if it took us a moment of time to get there. So those were the issues that affected the matter from inception to now. It's predominantly the issue of who should preside and the presiding officer and the persons leading evidence basically not being able to execute the mandate as requested. So we're almost there with Mr. Nzimanda. Hopefully we'll bring this matter to bed soon. Then the next issue that Honorable Godze, the next issue that Honorable Godze raised is who do you refer to the Ethics Committee? Perhaps asking for the criteria of which matter basically refers to the Ethics Committee. Every matter is referred to the Ethics Committee. So the decision whether or not to proceed with a complaint is taken by the Ethics Committee. This is, of course, another new phenomenon that we introduced to the Commission because previously, magistrates within the Ethics Division could read the matter if it had no merit, close it and inform. But then we had changed that and say, because the Ethics Committee members, all of them are commissioners and the Ethics Division magistrates are not commissioners. By law, the mandate of the commission is delegated to its committees, and the mandate to deal with ethics-related complaint is delegated to the Ethics Committee, and therefore the committee will take those decisions. Yes, they do recommendation. The matter comes before the committee reads the whole case together with the recommendation. Where there is an agreement, then the matter will be closed or prosecuted or referred to the relevant structure. Where there is no agreement, sorry, it will be closed. Where there is no agreement, then we debate it, and eventually, if the committee cannot agree on an issue, which is very important, we refer it to EXCO, because EXCO has the mandate to act on behalf of the commission. So the specific case that you have raised, I have not prepared on it. And therefore, I will just answer superficially and not deal with the actual details. I know of the matter, but I think it's going to be unfair for you if I simply just brush it out and answer it at that level and leave it as closed. Apart from what I'm going to say now, we undertake to go back, we'll pull the file, we'll look at it, and we'll give an answer so that I give the details of what happened. I'm not promising that the decision is going to change. I'm simply saying it's actually prudent that I reread the matter and then respond properly through Mr. Finger. But from what you have said, at the very least, you said that the magistrate acted in a particular way, and in so doing, she was exercising her judicial discretion. And you're correct. And you're saying the judicial discretion or a discretion must be judiciously exercised. And I agree with you 100%. Oh, you said, okay, it must be judiciously exercised. That's what I wrote. But it is a correct statement, you know.
Please, advocate, avoid dialogue.
Thank you. I'm answering the questions. So judiciously exercised. You said she failed a child and the child passed on. We'll look into the merits of the case, but if the complaint relates to a magistrate exercising constitutional power of deciding on the matter which deals with the independence of the magistrate, the commission has no power to deal with it unless there is misconduct suggested on it. If the magistrate's decision is like the ones that were mentioned, like your Botlanis and so forth, and there's a complaint about the quality of that decision, often the head of office will refer the matter for special review, and the judges will pronounce on whether there is anything unbecoming about what the magistrate has done and remit the matter back to either the senior magistrate, the chief magistrate, or whoever remitted it, or refer it to the commission if it warrants the attention of the commission. So that is as far as I can say. Like I said, it's a high level, but we'll look at it and then we'll revert with the details of what the decision exactly was based on. Honorable Pala, Honorable Gerike, sorry, Rick, apologies. The issue of a laptop and a tool of trade versus benefits of a magistrate, the reason why magistrates are often not suspended without salary is because we're not taking the benefits away. It's simply to remove them because of the complaint from the establishment to protect the public, which we are obliged to do. The laptop, because it's the one they use to write judgments, and that is the only reason why they have it, to write judgment and perform judicial duties that they are assigned when they are in the office. If they are not in the office, that laptop is required because an acting magistrate has to be appointed. There is a post. And instead of buying a new laptop for an acting magistrate, then the magistrate who's using the one or who was using the one before suspension must return it so that it can be put to good use. It's not a personal benefit. It is a property of the department, only given to them to perform judicial duties. And therefore, it doesn't presume their guilt. The labor relations, I'm not sure if they are applicable to magistrates because they are the judiciary. And therefore, there is also a distinction in terms of how complaints relating to them are dealt with. So that should actually clarify the blur between other institutions coming to speak about suspensions and what they do vis-a-vis the Magistrates Commission. The second issue is the issue of cases in justice on appeal. That's going to be extremely difficult to execute because often even the magistrates do not know that their cases are taken on appeal sometimes. And therefore it is a mammoth of a request. I am not sure if that will be feasible, but it is something that we will take back, investigate, and perhaps report back at a later stage. The issue of ethics meeting being on an ad hoc basis, not acceptable that you meet over the weekend, you need a schedule. I'm not sure if I'm grasping the complaint properly, but this is what I can offer as an explanation. all members of the commission are appointed in terms of the law. So there is no commissioner who is full-time at the commission. The act makes provision for different positions in the commission. So you will have an advocate representing the profession, you'll have an attorney representing the profession, you will have Dr. G representing the institute, you will have magistrates appointed as such to represent either magistrates or regional magistrates, and you will have parliamentarians with different parties being represented. So none of the commissioners are full-time. And therefore, the commission by its very nature meets on an ad hoc basis to address issues relating to the magistrates. And because the commission meets on an ad hoc basis, because we are all commissioners, even the members of the commission, the members of the different committees meet on an ad hoc basis. For example, I'll make an example with the appointments committee. The appointments committee meets when they're dealing with appointments. And although it doesn't work like us as the ethics committee, where our need to engage with the commission is almost on a daily basis because of the nature of the portfolio, the appointments committee, for example, sets aside sometimes 3 months, and they sit every day for 3 months, either doing shortlisting or doing interviews. And then from there, once their work is done, they have recommended to the commission and so forth. And the bulk of the work is done, and the chair will deal with matters as they arise. So is the ethics committee and all other committees. The difference with the ethics committee is because of the volumes of work and also the fact that it comes on a daily basis. You know, for example, media queries will come that needs to be addressed, or there'll be a complaint that is very urgent. And so that's why those meetings are ad hoc. So we do have a schedule. And that schedule says that we meet on this day and that day, perhaps once a month, and so forth. But when there is a pressing need for us to meet, we then call a meeting, which we often hold at night, simply because everyone is working with their other life. They do work, and we call that meeting at that particular time. It's the most convenient for everyone to deal with those pressing issues. And so, yes. And I guess this is also an opportune time to address the concern about the meeting of the weekend. So the cleanup meetings started in 2022. It is not something we started now this weekend. We held our first cleanup meeting in October of 2022, and there were 3 days at that time. There were 3 days in a sense that we would meet on a Sunday, do a schedule, get complaints after we have an agenda. Then we'll sit on Monday and Tuesday evening, or whenever we are done, we leave. We had those meetings consistently until last year. The last cleanup meeting was in Feb of 2024. And it was not for lack of trying that the meetings were not held. As I explained, there was that cost containment circular that caused a confusion as to who it affects. Because the cleanup meetings are not held in the offices of the commission, because by their very nature, they are meetings that starts, like, for example, this weekend, we started at 8, and the members of the ED and the secretariat was released at 9:30 in the evening, where some of us, the commissioners, stayed until around 11 because we were sleeping in the hotel. And we start again tomorrow at like 8:30. So they are very engaged meetings, which we're saying it's not safe for members to thrive in town. so all those logistical problems we raised to say it's not possible to do this, it defeats the whole objective. But there was a to and fro regarding whether we can have those outside meetings because of that particular circular. In fact, we almost had a serious glitch with the department, so much so that at some point we said, if you're not gonna come up, we're going to report this in Parliament, because when we report, it comes to us that we're not doing anything, yet we don't get support. But thankfully, it was resolved. And therefore, this meeting was set up. In fact, it should have been the other week after the commission, but most members were not available. And that it so happened, it's a coincidence that it was this weekend. And we have a schedule that explains when the next one is gonna be. We try to have one every quarter. And otherwise we meet ad hocly in the meantime to address pressing issues. The audit report does not date back to 2015. There are some matters that dates back to 2015. So the audit report was released in November 2024. So it was the first time we got an opportunity to engage with it. The issue of the Auditor General's report, I don't think we have dealt with that before, but I do know that when we suggested the audit report, the file audit, we said that's the first step of cleaning the commission, and the next step will be to do the financial audit, which we intend, it will start with the department, because the commission falls within the budget of the Department of Justice, and then the department will advise if there's a need to take it out. I then move to Honorable Pala's questions. The issue of appointments have been dealt with. I suppose that was a compliment which we'd lately receive. The strategies and the diagnosis, because the SOPs are so new, the strategies and the manner in which we intend to address the challenges that are facing us are mainly dealt with in the SOPs, and we hope that we will put it to test. In fact, what we said is that although it was signed in March, we only had the opportunity to meet and discuss as the committee over the weekend. And we wanted to be realistic with it because we're dealing with so much backlog. What we then said is that we will start putting it into effect in terms of the day-to-day. Did you say 1 May? 1 April, retrospectively. So we are trying, and we hope that we'll be able to criticize ourselves once we have put it into practice and see where we're lacking and how we can change. So that should in fact deal with that self-diagnosis and how we intend to have a prescription for the challenges that we face that affect the progress and our mandate to serve the commission and the public. Single judiciary being referred, I think there was a bit of misunderstanding. The issue of single judiciary is the Chief Justice is the head of the judiciary, both magistrates and judges. And therefore the proposal that is made is that although that is a fact, practically the commission still falls under the ambit of the department, because financially we go to the department and as opposed to the office of the Chief Justice. And that was the point that is being made to say we need to relook at the reporting mechanism to say at some point the commission should fully fall under the office of the Chief Justice, who's rightfully the head of the judiciary and not necessarily the department, which is simply an administrative wing of the judiciary. The governor matter, I'm not sure why it would have been heard for the first time during an oversight, because governor has been removed, is actually on suspension, not removed. Governor is on suspension following a recommendation that was made to this committee and approved by this committee as well as the portfolio committee. So she wouldn't have been on suspension. So perhaps it was missed in the process. I appreciate that. I think members of the committee are new and they have not heard, and that could have been the reason, but we have been persistently reporting on the matter. And we will continue to report so that we keep the committee abreast. Slide 12 is a concern of magistrate. Is it on leave or on suspension with pay? On suspension with pay. One of the things that we discussed over this weekend, which we always discuss, but now we engage more, is why do we pay magistrates who are on suspension, and whether we have a legal power to suspend without the salary right from the beginning. And members did take us back to this debate being had at some point before our time, that you cannot fight someone and take away the tools to fight back. Because when the magistrates are charged, they need legal representative, they need to pay and so forth. So that is also an ongoing thing in terms of us looking at how to cap the cost of magistrates who are on suspension with a salary, as to at what point we should act swifter in terms of making that decision to withhold remuneration. So it is under discussion. Did I say we will be done with backlog by the end of the year? I overpromised. We will be done with the backlog by end of the year. I actually should have meant backlog dealing with matters that ought to be closed, because those are the ones that we are attacking forcefully. We are pushing in terms of other matters, and we would have made stride. I want to correct myself. We would have made stride. We're working hard at it. It's bothering us, and we will give a different report when we come back. Our hope really is that by at a certain point in time, we should be able to deal with matters of that year as they come. So we shouldn't be confronted with a matter that was reported in 2024 January, and we're seeing it for the first time in 2025 January. I think that is an injustice. We should be able to have seen it and to have actioned it either way. And that's what we're aiming to get when we're saying we're dealing with backlog. So it's not like the matters will be done, but they will be actioned. And I apologize, I think I came across very wrong. The resignation of magistrates that are charged. What do you do? That's the first thing that bothered me when I got to the commission. Two things happened. The one was magistrates who rendered retirement, who asked for early retirement as soon as they are charged. So that was the first problem we were faced with. And because it was not sitting well with the committee, we then make a recommendation to EXCO and subsequently to the Minister of Justice that magistrates who are charged, because they have to ask for permission to be released early, that the minister should not sign those early release. And the minister obtained an opinion of state law advisor, and they said we are correct. And therefore, magistrates who are charged cannot go on early retirement. So we have dealt with at least half of the problem. Then we noticed that more magistrates are resigning as soon as they're being charged or in the middle of the misconduct. Again, it bothered us. So what we then did, I asked the GCB to appoint counsel at no expense to the commission to do an opinion, whether magistrate can in fact resign when they're facing misconduct. And the opinion that we received from senior counsel is that magistrates are appointed and removed and/or they must seek permission of the minister before they leave, so magistrates cannot resign. I am ahead of myself because that opinion has not been discussed. It has been sent, I think, to the DM's office at some point and the commission, and it will be placed on one of the agendas and it will be discussed, so that if the department agrees to it, because it's solely on the department, is the minister, then this problem would have been resolved. Are there parliamentarians on the commission? Yes, every political party is represented on the commission's structure, commission. I've dealt with the diagnosis. The nature of cases with Botlani and Singh and so forth. We live in a constitutional era where everyone is presumed innocent until proven otherwise. And we have even a more higher calling as the commission to implement that. So it is applicable to us. And yes, the processes sometimes take long, but at some point it's not because of the magistrates delaying. But in the events that we find that the magistrate is delaying, which we did over the weekend with some of the magistrates, those letters of the magistrate showing us cause why a recommendation should not be made that their suspension should now be without remuneration will be going out soon, this week or next week at the latest. I suppose I've answered all those questions. I go to the questions by Honorable Nonkonyane. I skipped. No. Honorable Noe, you agreed with Honorable Kocher regarding the presentation that has been addressed. Thought the commission was dead. We appreciate the compliment. We are very much alive. Then you also referred to the issue that was raised by Honorable Kharike regarding the ad hoc matter of the mandate that has been addressed. I think I had skipped a page, but the other issues that I addressed came from Honorable Noe. I go to Honorable Nonkonyane. The first concern that has been raised is the absence of the leader of the commission, DJP Lidwaba. Traditionally and historically, the chair does not attend the meetings. I think it was not because of any disrespect on his part, it's simply because he just followed practice. I also sit here as the spokesperson of the commission, and therefore it makes sense that I appear together with his delegation, because we are here representing him as the head and the entire commission. So I want to apologize upfront if it came as undermining the works of the commission. He's not mandated me to speak, but I can say that because of what has been happening in the past, he could not have known that he is required to be here. And I'm sure in the future, if if the committee, Honorable Chair, requires the chair to be part of the delegation, perhaps it should make it clear on the invite so that he can know if he's unable to attend, then he can give reasons. Thank you. I've dealt with the issue of the scanned report. The concerns that were raised will, as soon as the protocol of sending the report is dealt with, members will get the report. Dealt with the issue of Nsimande. Unfortunately, the numbers don't lie. So the 8.1 million is what it is, based on the reasons that will be evident from the report itself as to what has caused the delay. And I cannot take that question any further than that. The issue of whether the cases that we have listed as finalized, whether those magistrates have taken the matters on review, I did explain the one that is currently on review, and that review is the commission reviewing the decision of the presiding officer in terms of the sentence that the commission is of the view is not befitting for the offense. But insofar as those magistrates are concerned, I know Ms. Hinkler tried to, Hinkler, yes, Ms. Hinkler is, sorry, is, took the issue on review, but it must be noted that once a magistrate is removed, that is the act of parliament. It's no longer on the commission. So the review will necessarily review because the power to remove lies with parliament. So insofar as our books are concerned, the case is closed. Langa challenges, what are the challenges? The case of Mr. Langa is finalized. The trial started and ended, so whatever the challenges that we faced, they are of no consequence right now because the issue of Mr. Langa appearing on our report was simply to say it falls amongst the matters that are finalized. Bengenkula, I don't seem to recall what was the issue, but I have addressed it. Is the case is finalized. The commission, not Mr. Bengenkula, is not satisfied with the outcome. And therefore, the commission is doing a review with the state attorney. I've issued the SOPs right now. I've explained that earlier. Transformation, I've answered that. Some of the complaints can be dealt with at court level by the heads of courts. Yes, they are being dealt with by heads of courts. They get elevated to us sometimes by the heads of courts. Sometimes the complainants are not satisfied with the manner that the head of court has dealt with their complaint, and then they elevate to us and we agree or disagree. But we also have walk-ins. We have people who approach the commission directly, and we have no intention of turning people back. Some of the complaints we pick through the media, there will be a report about a certain conduct on the part of the magistrate, and we also take them up as wanting the magistrate to comment, especially if it's serious, which often they are. There is a question. Oh, I know what I missed is the issue that the chair raised earlier, and they relate to community outreach program. when was it? 2023. Around 2023, we did realize that a number of complaints that are sent to the commission should not be there. So we then spoke about one, that community outreach program, and two, updating the information on the website, which we have since done. We also spoke about the issue of having boards in all languages in all the magistrates court. You know, one, just giving people information about the contact details of the commission, and two, briefly outlining the mandate of the commission as to what kind of complaints are actually fall within the mandate of the commission. And insofar as that progress is concerned, I'm going to ask Mr. Finger just to give us a rundown of that. I know he spoke to some people about the public awareness in DOJ and so forth, so he can please assist. Mr. Finger, thanks.
Mr. Finger, while you are going to respond to that issue, I want you to as well clarify us with regards to the appointment of service providers for wellness of magistrates, ne? Because maybe I don't understand, but I'm seated here thinking that we have DSD, which is the sister department, and we have Department of Health, of which you can get professionals that can offer that particular service. So I want you to give us indication, how much do we spend for this service of wellness for the magistrate, and how does it differ from what we can offer from our sister departments, as I mentioned, the DST and as well Department of Health. But if you don't have any comprehensive response, you can submit in writing on this one. Because, you know, when we are in this session, we are in Parliament, and anything that we say here binds you. It's a commitment. So we take it as an undertaking of sort, where you would be held accountable, but you said this and that and stuff. So I want you to clarify us with regards to that. And as well, the issue of transformation. We're noting issues of sex, females being in numbers, but we are interested as well to know from this component, who are young people? I'm seated here as a young adult would have an appetite of a certain age. So in future, perhaps include the demographics in terms of youth, and as well disabilities, because that's what we say when we speak about transformation, not only race and gender. That's what I wanted to indicate with regards to your responses. Okay, is it a follow-up?
Like you say, what is the response? I have an interest on this one of the outreach, because I've noted it here, and thanks that advocate brought it back under discussion. I just want to check whether you do you also, or are you aware of the existence of the parliamentary constituency offices? Do you also interact with them during the such programs? And probably the structures, community structures that you engage with. In this instance, I will extend it to traditional leaders. Do you also make sure that such institutions are involved in your outreach?
Okay, Honorable Phala.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I think the advocate missed my question on demarcation of magisterial districts. You missed that one. Secondly, Chair, I was concerned about what the Secretary said here, that they are not subject to audit processes. It's a serious matter of concern. Every department in the country has to be audited by AG. Now, if the the secretary says they're not subject to all these processes. Can you just explain it so that we can understand why? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, sir.
Chair, thanks very much. Maybe let me start with the last one, maybe just to clarify. So I think what I meant to say was that, remember, it's the Department of Justice that's being audited, and as far as we are concerned, there's not been anything that has been picked up from the commission side that would require the commission's attention in terms of non-compliance or anything. Yeah, I think that's what I meant to convey. Thank you, Chair. Chair, in terms of the service provider, perhaps, and I think this is a matter, and I take your advice that perhaps this is something that I'll have to go back and commit to respond to, but I just wanted to make sure that I understood the issue. So, what is happening now is that the department advertised its own tender for wellness, and included in that is the Magistrates Commission, that the service provider will also cater for magistrates. That is a Department of Justice tender that is advertised. So I just wanted to understand when you say, yeah, the Department of Health is also, is the inquiry from Chair to say we should be utilizing the employees of the professionals in the Department of Health. Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe for me, it will first come across as when you refer or you advertise a wellness, what will have informed that you refer magistrates to a wellness program? What informs that? What goes into it? Because that what will tell you what or which institution you will then have to engage to put through people that will have identified that they need to go through a wellness. What goes into the wellness program? You know why I'm saying that? Maybe I didn't say this in the beginning that I was a court interpreter, so I had an interaction with magistrates also. We had a magistrate who was very alcoholic, and he will go into court like that, and then he was problematic, but sometimes he will do his work. But such programs of wellness to help such an individual was not there. And I picked up, or is it Miss Bodlani, in her conduct of work, you pick up also she will have been referred to a wellness, but it depends what goes into your program that will then direct you to a relevant institution. Thank you.
Advocate Manaka, and
I think that question jogged my memory. I just want to give a comment to say issue of wellness is also a very personal thing. Someone must be willing. In fact, somebody must approach and say, I have a problem and I need help. Because it may well be very offensive to go to someone and say, I think you need help. People may not take it very well. And I'm saying this because we do know of a magistrate that we believe requires help. And we also discussed that magistrate because there are numerous complaints about the magistrate, but we know the magistrate, you know, and her conduct suggests that she is not okay. She needs help. And when we discussed the complaints relating to her, and in fact, the behavior that we are all aware of, you know, we did raise an issue to say, is she not a candidate that in fact requires intervention by the commission? And fortunately, that intervention was offered, as Mr. Finger reported, to the magistrate, but she refused. And she said she doesn't need help. So much as we can come up with numerous programs, there must be that willingness and that voluntariness of magistrates saying, we need help. It can never be from the commission, saying, pinpointing people might feel victimized and so forth. I suppose what needs to be done or what needs to be considered is a general session, where a session is called for everyone to attend, so that that wellness is not seen as being directed to a specific person. Thank you.
Yeah, so Chair, the service provider would obviously have a range of professionals that they offer, your psychologist, your psychiatrist, and there is a central number that they are supposed to dial and indicate a need. But like I said, we will go back and give the numbers, but I know that our budget, for example, last year, the year just ended was just about 600,000. And I think we only paid around 40-something thousand out of that. So that's a very, very, very low uptake. But we will give the figures as we go back. I'm not sure really, Chair, about us utilizing the professionals in the Department of Health, for example. I don't know if, but it's something that with your guidance, maybe as we get more information, the department can consider.
Yeah, I think it's not about more information. Issues that you have just mentioned. DSD, they are offering a psychosocial support and stuff. So I'm just thinking around the issue that there's budget constraints at times. And we have departments that are government departments that can offer other services. I'm saying this just as a recommendation, perhaps, that look at it, that this 600,000, even if you have used 40,000, you can use it for outreach and other things, rather than procuring for services that you can get for free for government or referral. As Advocate Manaka could have said, sometimes issues of wellness, I cannot be helped if I don't reach out. However, it is your responsibility as well to create a conducive environment that if I cannot reach out, there's an alternate that I can be referred to. So that you don't have this 600,000 for things that are there. That's what I'm appealing for. But again, we are taking this as one of the issues that we would need clarity from the Department of Justice. How do they come about procuring for such services? I hope you are noting, people from the Minister's office. How do we come about procuring for services that we know that they are within the mainstream system of Department of Health and as well DSD? That is something that I think we cannot leave it unattended, while we know that always there are issues of budget. You cannot sit on your cleanup meetings physically, sometimes on the basis of what? Budget. So the money that it's fenced for your wellness can be reinvested for something else, and then people referred from departments that are within government units. So that's what I was just saying. Hence, I wanted to get clarity with regards to that. But you can respond on other issues, as I asked about youth and disability, and as well noting that Honorable Pizzo has indicated the issue of parliamentary constituency officers. I know it's not all parties or members of parliament have designated officers, but you can just note it as a matter of an indication that if you need partnership, they are there for you to make sure that you bring the awareness or in terms of the work that the commission is doing in their spaces.
Thank you, Chair. And I think that was going to be my response when it comes to outreach, that we indeed have not implemented whatever was discussed previously, but it only centered around the Department of Justice outreach programs. And I think we'll infuse what is being advised today. And it's something that obviously, even as we come next time to Parliament, just to report on, it's something that we'll go and implement definitely. Chair. Yes, youth and disability. I thought there was a column on disability, although we're not doing well. On the Excel, I think we're far. There's only 2 or 3 magistrates that we can account on. Have declared that they are disabled. I'm not sure from the appointments committee because it really depends on applicants as well as to, is it something that we can promote? But we take note of the youth column. We'll definitely include that as part of the reporting, employment of youth as we report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioners. Honorable Nonkonyan.
Chair, arising from the response, 2 things. The first one, I must cover the back of my colleague, Advocate Manaka. She made an honest mistake that all members of Parliament are part of the commission. Political parties, sorry. Political parties. It's just as for record purposes, it is not like that. But she made, honestly, she's not a politician. She's just an advocate. It's just that some members, depending on the threshold, they are part, not everyone, every political party is there. So I just want to back her up for the sake of the record so that it is straight. Secondly, Chair, I also see, again, it's a matter that they must take and mull over it, not now. I could see that there is over-reliance on criminal charges being pending, therefore we cannot discipline. Perhaps I may have held them wrong. That to await for the criminal case to finish before you discipline sometime, you may wait for ages. Hence, we will therefore incur these costs, particularly if we have suspended somebody with pay. This is something that, because the standards of proof, as she know, is different. As a proof or in criminal case is different from a civil matter, which is a disciplinary matter. They must look into that. But I'm happy that they are looking seriously into this question of people being suspended with pay and therefore taking advantage of that situation. That's the only comment I wanted to make. Otherwise, Chair, I'm now happy, and I hope you and all other Christians are going to enjoy Passover this coming week.
As we pass over, Honorable Gerik, these are the tendencies of passing over. I'm just giving you the courtesy call.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the word courtesy. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. I think, Madam Chair, this report is a report that needs much more interrogation. Unfortunately, we don't have the time here today because the meeting has been scheduled at the set time. We cannot just rush through the reports all the time. There's much more questions, many more questions, deeper questions, and where we also differ, and it's impossible. I submit our concerns regarding this. It's impossible to engage on a 5-minute or even 10-minute basis. It is truly impossible. These committees are important arms of our democracy, entities of our democracy, and we need to go deeper. The point raised by Honorable Advocate Mokonyana is exactly the point, but I don't want to go on now. Don't want to waste the committee's time. For instance, you cannot, it's fine if you say you're going to consider that and it's coming up for debate and so on. But I mean, you cannot suspend somebody without pay. It is totally unconstitutional. because that person has not been found guilty as yet. And therefore, you cannot punish the person. It's a normal basic sum to do in terms of our constitutional democracy. But I don't want to go into that now. On the matters that are outstanding here that we did not get answers today as a party, we will write to the minister. We have another avenue by virtue of the questions and the motions, so that we ask certain clarities on the issues. The issue of the Magistrates Commission in terms of the Magistrates Act 90, we need to understand how the audits work, the monies work, and so on. And we also need the separation of powers. We need to understand to the report to the department, to the very same department, it's a whole range of things. We must understand also the conflicting interests, if there are, in terms of my understanding, conflicting interests at the moment. And then the minister must give guidance, because we need to fix our democracy. We cannot let our democracy slide into a deep dark hole because we are limited by time. We must discuss. These are learned colleagues, and they are fully capable and able to understand the type of engagement. And I think when we can assist as a committee, they will appreciate. But thank you very much indeed from our side, and we will engage further on another platform with regard to the outstanding questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's no thank you very much from our side. We are a collective of this select committee. So as the chair, it's because of the authority given to me by them that I would have to do that work of thanking you from our side as members of parliament for coming to engage with us. This limitation of time is within the rules of parliament. So what he is suggesting, it would need to go through the amendment of the rules where we'd say would go up until. The 5 minutes is to manage the meeting. That at least we need to find ourselves within the confinements of the time schedule. So it's fine, we are politicians, we are noting, and at least from this meeting, what we know is that we have agreed on number of issues. That on issues that we were not answered in terms of details, we would need to get the report in terms of the status quo of all these cases. Specifically when, what is happening, and what of which there's an agreement that will get submission. You have taken us through on the issue of why suspension and be paid, and what is the due process that is undertaken with regards to that issue to be dealt with, on the basis that there's an outcry about people who are getting remunerated while they are suspended, on the basis that that money is a public pay. So I noted Honorable Gerrick sentiments with politic, where we politic. That question will come, as he said, through the minister's question and answers, just to get sense of how far are we in terms of ensuring that there are reforms with regards to that issue, or it should remain as it is on the basis of the issues that he is raising, that how do you suspend a person while there's no verdict and stuff. I'm noting you, Advocate Manaka, just have a bite, because I'm now concluding in terms of the summary of the meeting. You can speak.
I'm so sorry to rudely raise my hand. I thought it's very important that I do a correction so that it's not prolonged. On 2 issues, starting with the concerns raised by Honorable Gerrick regarding the constitutionality of suspension without pay. In fact, the Constitutional Court long pronounced that there is nothing wrong, in fact, in suspending magistrates without a salary in the matter of Van Rooyen. I was trying to get the full citation on that issue, so that perhaps Honorable Gerrick can perhaps read the relevant part. And in fact, it jumped up because we discussed it as well over the weekend, and we went through it. So I'm almost certain about those pronouncements. So there is nothing unconstitutional about it, and the Constitutional Court has spoken on that fact. The last part is that we don't wait for criminal matters to be finalized before we continue. we actually run the processes parallel. And in fact, we went to an extent, again, over the weekend, and I swear, when the members were suspicious about whether the meeting was held because of this sitting, I'm almost doubting myself now because all the issues that are raised were discussed. To say, even if the criminal process, the NPA has refused to prosecute, and nothing stops the commission from continuing with the misconduct. And I thought I should put that in perspective so that it closes that, we shouldn't come back to it in the next sittings. Thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Advocate Manaka and the collective. As I said, we want to thank you for coming for this meeting because it was within this period as scheduled in terms of the first term. So on other issues that have been raised by members, indeed we would need to call you for thematic issues that we would need clarity on and further engagement as advised by Honorable Norway. And we would be happy as well to be finished with your outreach programs because we are noting that you are starting to do something with regards to that. And there's an extension that members are saying that because of they are deployed in different constituencies, they would want to partner with yourselves to bring those programs to their area, more especially Honorable Norway, also from Kwakwa. So you would understand that those are the people that would really need to get more attention with regards to such issues because every day issues that he deals with, it has to do with law enforcement agencies and other things as follow-up. We are glad and happy that this stage is one of the stages that is taking us to the NCOP session where we would need to debate and conclude on this matter of Govenda. We have noted as well that the minister has signed this suspension. It is in detail and it stipulates the act in terms of the processes up until to where it is. So this process, it is part and parcel to seal our legislative process as members of parliament to ensure that we get sense and reasoning around issues on how did we get to where we are. And I'm thankful for the fact that when you opened, you noted that this decision is based on the contravening of the Act, Magistrate Act, the regulations for judicial officers of the lower courts and the code of conduct on the basis that she changed an accused plea of guilty to not guilty and acquitted and accused, without a trial taking place, willfully and unlawfully provided false and or incorrect statement to the reviewing judges. So we have a fully fleshed report that this was a misconduct done by someone who was not even supposed to be doing whatever that she was doing. And we all know as South Africans that we always speak about ethical developmental state. So meaning that Honorable Nonkonyan, it's about fit for purpose and doing things ethically so. And we want to employ to yourself that perhaps there's a need of introducing vetting for hiring of magistrates, because you can see with the high rate of crime in our country, high rate of social ills, because of we are human, there should be a process in place or the system in place that seeks to ensure that it promotes an ethical culture. So I want to say to yourselves, thank you. And as well, thank you, honorable members, for meaningful engagement that we know that it's for the impact of the people's for the lives of our people in bettering their lives. We have committed as this select committee that within this space and time that we are deployed here, we don't want to be having legacy reports or anything that is not dealt with, that we are supposed to deal with. So we are glad that at least we are within our time frame and the program of action in terms of this particular meeting. We want to thank you, and this meeting is officially adjourned. Announcement, we don't want fruitless expenditure. We have refreshment on the site.